So what are we doing today? Today we are looking at some of the weirdest news, some of the strangest news, apocalypse news in this very strange time of 2020, and examining it through the Hyperian lens of logic and reason. We have a lot to talk about, from monoliths to orgies to treason. Oh my, so much. So it's going to be good. And I want to jump right into it here because we have some really weird stuff going on. We also have some heavy philosophical concepts that we're going to get into as well that I'm actually excited to discuss with you guys about. But I got to say right away, the first thing that we are going to be looking at is all these monoliths that are popping up everywhere. And I'm sure you guys have heard of this because everybody is talking about it. It's incredibly viral. And just in case you haven't heard of it, the whole thing is that there are these mysterious monoliths popping up. And here's one in California. I live in California. And this is the third one. So late last month, a 2001 Odyssey-like monolith appeared in the Utah desert. Looked kind of like this. And not long after, another identical structure appeared in Romania. They've both since vanished. Now yet another monolith has been discovered, this time in California. So you have all these monoliths popping all over the place in Utah, Romania, California, and like breaking news. People are going, you know, it's massively viral. If you haven't heard about this, I don't know where you have been living. But first of all, just regarding this, I want to say, my God, people are dumb. Like, is this what people talk about? We have so many crazy things going on in the world, and people get obsessed with these monoliths, which obviously it has nothing to do with aliens or anything like that. People are just setting these up there. But people get so obsessed with, well, the thing is that this reality has become so boring that people cling on to any sort of idea that gives them an escape into fantasy. And what this just goes to show is that we need to create a world that's a lot more interesting, because it's a testament to just how banal this world is, that, you know, a metal stick in the desert can go massively viral and start people speculating about aliens and things like this. And I was just thinking, like, you know, what if we did something like this? What if we had what if we you know, had theoretically put up some monoliths with tri-scales on there? You know, that would be awesome. Awesome marketing for Hyperianism. We need some tri-scale monoliths that we start setting up around the world. But seriously, on that note, this really has gotten my wheels turning as far as, wow, if this really is the sort of thing that gets people's attention, what kind of stuff could we do? What kind of stuff could we do, you know, to sort of spark attention, spark interest and stuff like that? If all it takes is a couple of metal sticks in the desert, it really shouldn't be that hard to think of something. So my wheels are turning. I'm thinking about different things that we could do that could be interesting to try and get some talk going. And if you guys have any ideas, let me know in the comments as well. Tell me what you think. If you have any good ideas to maybe we can get a Hyperian alien takeover trending or something like this, which I think would be very funny and effective at the same time. But I want to take a look at, that was just a really minor thing, kind of silly. This monolith stuff is ridiculous. But there's something else that I want to talk about here, called the singleton hypothesis. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. The point is that, yes, escapist fantasy is really attractive, and that's why we need to create a world where we don't need to escape from it. We need to create a world that's fantastic to live in, a place that's about exploring ourselves and each other and our own minds so that we don't need to feel like we need to escape from it. I mean, that's a big indication that there is something extremely wrong with the world if it's something that we need to escape from. Just like when people go, you know, like, oh, this world is hell. And I agree, this world is hell. I made a video about it right now, but we can transform it. So we need to make it so this world isn't some place that we need to escape from, but rather a place that is fantastic, rather than having to escape into fantasy. We need to make those, fantasies a reality. Here's this other thing that I want to take a look at that I came across in the news. And I don't know why this came across recently, because this is actually a little bit of an older post, an older article. But I came across it this week, and it says, the singleton hypothesis predicts the future of humanity. And this is something that I want to talk about, because I think it's ridiculous that you have these contemporary philosophers talking about these ideas as if that they're groundbreaking or something like this, when really this is what we have been saying for eons. Anyway, these so-called philosophers are actually sophists, because this is not anything new or groundbreaking. But for modern humanity, it is. So the singleton hypothesis predicts the future of humanity. Nick Bostrom's singleton hypothesis says that intelligent life on Earth will eventually form a singleton. This singleton could be a single government or an artificial intelligence that runs everything. Whether the singleton will be positive or negative depends on numerous factors and is not certain. So, here's what it says. Does history have a goal? Is it possible that all the human societies that existed are ultimately a prelude to establishing a system where one entity will govern the world over? The Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom proposes the singleton hypothesis, maintaining that intelligent life on Earth will at some point organize itself into a so-called singleton, one organization that will take the form of either a world government, intelligent machine, or regrettably a dictatorship that would control all affairs. Now, the philosopher argues that historically there's been a trend for our societies to converge in higher levels of social organization. We went from bands of hunter-gatherers to chiefdoms, city-states, nation-states, and now multinational corporations, the United Nations, and so forth. So the singleton hypothesis is all about, oh, well, are we evolving into this single sort of thing? And the answer is yes, no shit. This is really ridiculous. Does history have a goal? Yes, this is called teleology. Is it possible that all human societies that existed are ultimately a prelude? Yes. So this is I talk about Hegel so much, but the philosopher Hegel was saying this. This was something that was said by Hegel in the late 1700s and early 1800s, when he talks about the end of history and the actualization of absolute spirit. So according to Hegel, yes, history has a teleological point, which is the culmination of absolute spirit, which is God manifesting itself. So yes, here's the deal. Earth does have a point, and it does have a teleology, and it has a goal. What we are doing is we are evolving into a collective. We are evolving into a united collective. The Earth is like a brain that doesn't realize that it is a brain. And right now, it's divided against itself. All the different neurons are fighting each other instead of working together. And what history does is allows us to form higher levels of cooperation. So, eventually, we will form higher and higher levels of cooperation until the Earth itself is acting in a unified fashion and is acting as one united mind, made up of a multiplicity of individual minds. So yes, the point of history, the end of history, is the actualization on Earth of a united mind, a united intelligence, and that will be the system of governance, where we are acting as a single united entity made up of a multiplicity of individual entities, but working together like a network, just like a brain and a network of neurons working together to form a one united thing. So this philosopher is on the right track, but he's way off in certain ideas, like talking about an artificial intelligence. It's not going to be an artificial intelligence. It's going to be us. That is our evolution. And like I said, this was talked about in Hegel, with Hegel's idea of the end of history and the actualization of absolute spirit. But look, guys, it goes even further than that. It's not just Earth, but it's the universe itself. Because once Earth becomes united, once we are united as a singleton, as it's, to use their verbiage, that once we are united on Earth as a single entity, then the game goes another step further, where we need to unite across the universe with other life forms, with other intelligences as well. And we connect then to form a singleton with the entire universe, not just Earth, not just a specific planet, but the entire universe. And what this is the actualization of us as God, the Absolute. Once we have become so united across the entirety of the universe, that is us and God awakened. This is what we call, abraxas, become fully conscious. Because there is no external God. We are God. And when the world starts to awaken to that fact, that's when God, the Absolute, to use Hegelian verbiage, words, becomes conscious. And so this is the whole goal of Hyperianism, is to get the Earth itself, the people of Earth itself, to become conscious, to reach that level of absolute consciousness, so that we can be operating in a unified way, a united way, instead of a fractured way. So this is just something that I wanted to talk about and point out, because you can see, if you look at the news day to day, you can see people kind of starting to get there. It's just incredibly frustrating because, once again, this particular idea was put forward by Hegel in the late 1700s or early 1800s, and early 1800s. This is not new, but for the people of Earth, they're at such a low level of consciousness that they're in this somnambulistic sleepwalking state, and that's our job, to wake up the world. That's what we're doing here, right? To wake up the world so that we can begin to act in a united way and create a beautiful world and stop all this fracture and division and become united. So this is crazy. This was on December 1st. An anti-gay Hungarian politician has resigned after being caught by the police fleeing a 25-man orgy through a window. A member of the European Parliament has resigned from his position after he was caught leaving what reports described as a 25-man orgy on Friday. Joseph resigned on Sunday after he admitted to breaching Belgium's strict lockdown rules to attend a sex party. The police found 25 naked men at the gathering, including him and some diplomats. The newspaper quoted a local police source as saying, "We interrupted a gangbang." And hey, look, nothing wrong with the gangbang, but the point is that they have curtailed LGBTQ rights since he was elected prime minister in 2010. And Joseph, who he helped, the person who was caught, helped write Hungary's constitution to protect the institution of marriage as the union of a man and a woman. He's a right-wing politician and ally of Orban, and was spotted fleeing along the gutter. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else interesting in here. So the interesting thing to take away from this is that, look, here you have this anti-gay Hungarian politician, and he was found fleeing a 25-man orgy. And this is something that we talked about last week, is this is about shadow projection. You have this guy who clearly has homosexual tendencies, and he keeps this locked up and bottled in. And so what does he do? He ends up shadow projecting, where he begins, having these anti-gay legislations and whatnot. And it's just, clearly, you find this everywhere. You find people who are the biggest bigots, the biggest homophobes, they tend to be the ones who have homosexual urges. And so, you have these people who are destroying the world. That's why we had the witch burnings and stuff like that, because the witch burnings and all the crusades and things like this come from a religious mindset where you are repressing certain things as sin, and instead of taking care of it in yourself, you go and try and destroy other people who exhibit your own desires. And so we have this individual who is so against gay people and the LGBT community, but he himself is engaging in behind closed doors, in secret and in silence. He just needs to be open about it, right? What a healthier world we would live in if he just said, hey, guess what? I like sleeping with men, and men and women should be able to marry if they want, and screw all these anti-LGBTQ policies. I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm proud. Like, what a healthier world, instead of relegating it into the shadows, making it a secret, doing it behind closed doors, and then going out and putting forth these anti-gay policies. How crazy is that? No, just embrace who you are, deal with your shadow, and don't contribute to the hate in the world. So you have this person not only doing this, but also breaking lockdown. Not only was this politician, engaging in these activities, that are opposed, that contradict his own policies, but you have him breaking lockdown to go to a 25-man orgy. So it's just absolutely crazy. Like, do you see what I mean when I say that we live in a madhouse world, an insane asylum world? Any alien civilization that happened upon Earth would turn around and leave, because they'd be like, my God, these people are insane. Look at this guy having a 25-man orgy, then waking up and going to work and writing, supporting anti-gay laws. Like, what a crazy world this is. It's so insane. It's so insane. So can we please use some logic and reason to build a world where we're not building up this massive shadow and then unleashing it disastrously upon the rest of society? Can we please have a healthy world led by logic and reason, where we are healthily and psychologically integrated and individuated, so that we can work towards helping each other and building a better world and a more psychologically integrated world, rather than a world run by shadow repression, shadow projection that results on all this hatred? So yeah, I mean, please, this world is insane, and the cure is logic and reason. And you can see how many people hate logic and reason, because it's a madhouse, right? And because it's a madhouse, people think that what would cure them is bad. And so, so many people are so opposed to logic and reason. They want anything else but logic and reason, when reason is what will help. It's the only thing that will cure this world, right? It's not faith. It's not praying to a god. It's not psychedelics, even though I think psychedelics are great. They're just a tool. It's not prayer. It's not mysticism. It's not meditation. It's logic and reason. Being able to think rationally, understand, if you have issues psychologically, deal with them in a healthy manner, integrate them, don't unleash it upon the world. So this is why we need a world founded on logic and reason, that's built with, the emphasis on cultivating a healthy collective with compassion and merit. So incredibly important to understand that. What I want to talk about right now is something that is not being emphasized enough. You really haven't heard too much about this, but Michael Flynn calls for Trump to suspend the Constitution and declare martial law to rerun the election. So this huge attack on democracy, hardly anyone is talking about this. And this is kind of a big deal. It is a big deal. So with a fresh presidential pardon, Trump just pardoned Flynn. With a fresh presidential pardon still warm, Former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn has called on Donald Trump to suspend the Constitution and declare martial law for the military to run a new election. This is crazy. This is big. More people should be talking about this instead of fucking monoliths, right? The retired general tweeted out a full-page ad that ran in the Washington Times that claimed that the extraordinary executive actions were necessary to avoid the alternative of an imminent civil war. And captioning the tweet, "Freedom never kneels except for God," Mr. Flynn linked to an ad from a Tea Party-affiliated group called We the People Convention. And you can see this here, this tweet by Flynn, and you see freedom never kneels except for God. Oops, don't want to open Twitter. And do you see, here we have Michael Flynn calling for suspending the Constitution, declaring martial law, and forcing a rerun of the election. And a couple things I want to point out here. First of all, how insane that is, and that it's not being talked about enough. And do you see this clear religious connotation? Freedom never kneels except for God. Do you see how this religious these dangerous religious mindsets infect everything? So much of the world's ills and atrocities have an underlying cause of a religious mindset, even if you don't know it, even if it's not explicit that that's what's causing it. That's always running in the background like a computer operating system that's causing all of these problems. So we need to be very aware of all the stuff that is going on and realize that we need a world that and a political system that is not infected by these religious ideas, but instead run by logic and reason. And that's why, as Hyperians, we support a meritocracy, a world and a system governed through logic, reason, merit, compassion, so that we can avoid all of the insanity that you see going around us right now. And the world is right now really, you can see it split in two. You kind of have, capitalists and conservatives, and then you sort of have liberals and socialists and things like this. And the thing to realize is that as Hyperians, we are not conservatives, we are not capitalists, we are not liberals, and we are not socialists. We are meritocrats. We are the third idea. We aim to create a world that has healthy competition, but where everyone is given access to that which they need, such as universal health care, universal basic income, the world's finest education, free housing, and where the billionaire class has been removed and where they can no longer exist. So, and also a world where religion isn't running rampant and infecting the running of a political system, which is abhorrent. We need a system that's run by logic and reason, not by, books that were written thousands of years ago by prophets. That's crazy. That's crazy. So this is why, we really need to understand why in this world that we are envisioning and thus actualizing, because everything starts out as an idea and then becomes manifested in the world. Remember that. Everything starts out as an idea. Even the chair in your living room. Someone had an idea of a chair in their mind, so they went out and then created it. Everything is a product of idea. Everything is mind. So it's important to understand and have our ideas planted firmly in our mind, spread the seeds so that they can then become actualized. And our goal, our vision for the future is a meritocratic world, a world where we are all living together, unified and united under the banner of logic and reason, so we can create a compassionate collective where we aren't fighting for survival, but we are thriving. And that's one of the most important things to remember, is that in our world, it's not about surviving, it's about thriving. Everywhere you look around you right now, this world is about survival. Oh, let's try and survive. Let's get enough money to try and make rent. Let's try and get enough money to put food on the table. Let's try and, not get shot when we go outside. Let's try not to succumb to a pandemic or something. No. Living life in this physical existence in the holos should not be about survival. It's not about surviving. It's about thriving. So that is why we need a meritocratic system that is dialectical, so it incorporates a wide range of thoughts and ideas, as well as being teleological, which is very important, which means that our idea has a goal, that the system, the world, remember we talked about that singleton idea, that the world is united together as one entity with the teleological goal of creating a divine humanity, a society of the divine. That is our goal. And that is the mission of this, sort of singleton united world. This divine mission to transform the world and its citizens into something divine. And then we can finally stop trying to survive, but begin to thrive, begin to learn, begin to grow, begin to become educated, begin to create art, begin to create make our fantasies come true, our dreams come true, our world bloom and blossom and actualized, led by the highest reason and logic, to get rid of this madhouse and replace it instead with a brilliant, glittering citadel of reason. And that's what we aim to do. And that's what we aim to do. So that's why it's so important. As I always say, these ideas, everything starts out as an idea. And our goal as Hyperians is to plant the seeds and educate the world so that the world will be at the right level of consciousness, so that these ideas can become manifested properly, truly, and actually. So go out there, plant those ideas. Ideas are seeds. As I said, that chair outside in your living room started out as a seed of an idea in someone's mind. Then they actualized it. Ideas are seeds. So go out there, plant those ideas with that vision for that future, what needs to be done, and then our vision will blossom and bloom, and we will have that new world.